While planning to propose and take her on a dream vacation, I found a group chat where my girlfriend called me deadweight and said she was only staying until the lease was up. After hearing about my plans, she begged for another chance, saying it shouldn't matter because I was never supposed to see the messages. But it's over now. We've been together for almost 3 years. We moved in together about a year ago. A few months back, we had a pretty rough patch. I was stressed about work, my boss had dumped a huge project on my desk with no warning, and I was pulling crazy hours just trying to keep up. She had her own issues, she was between jobs and worried about her career trajectory. We ended up snapping at each other a lot. There were times we went to bed angry. Small disagreements turned into long nights of tension in our shared living room. At one point, I worried we might not make it. But we talked it out, apologized, cried, held each other. Things felt better after that. We agreed that we had made it through the storm, and I believed it. This past month, I decided I wanted to propose. I'd been saving up for a ring, actually a specific one I knew she would love. An heirloom look, with a delicate emerald stone, something that tied into what she once told me about her grandmother's ring. I also planned a surprise vacation for her, an overwater bungalow in Bora Bora. It's crazy expensive, and it took me a year and a half of squirreling away money to afford it. Last night, I decided to look through her phone. I know, it's not something I do. But it's not what it sounds like. Her birthday is coming up, and I wanted to plan something special leading up to the proposal. She'd mentioned wanting to do a group thing before our big trip, like a local scavenger hunt or a winery tour with her friends. I wanted ideas and figured if I checked her group chats with her closest friends, I might find something she mentioned offhand, something I could turn into a surprise. I'm not proud of snooping, but I thought I was doing it for the right reasons. What I found, I don't even know how to process it. In one of her WhatsApp groups, there were messages going back months. It was a group chat with her old college friends. I scrolled back to our rough patch, curious how she had felt during that time, maybe just wanting to see if she'd confided her frustrations. But the conversation was more than that. She called me needy, said she was fed up and just writing out the lease. Her exact words, "I'm just waiting until our lease is up in a few months. I'm so over him." She told them how I was always underfoot, and she felt like I had no ambition, even though at the time I was working 12-hour days to impress my boss. She went on about how she had no intention of tying herself down to a deadweight and how she was only playing nice so we wouldn't lose the security deposit. She joked about ghosting me after we move out, maybe leaving me with the furniture since I like nesting so much. I also saw more recent messages from just a couple weeks ago. While the tone was slightly less hostile, there was zero mention of any redemption of our relationship. It's like she'd formed this narrative in her mind, I'm the reason she isn't happy, and this is all temporary. We got over that rough patch, at least I thought we did. We sat in the kitchen with coffee one morning and promised to open up, to give each other more understanding. Did she just lie through her teeth that whole time? I feel humiliated, furious, and heartbroken. I spent months saving for a dream vacation, poured my heart into finding the perfect ring. And all the while, she's been counting down the days until she could walk away from me without losing some stupid deposit on our apartment. I feel like a complete fool. I'm not sure what I'll do next. The lease is still a few months away, but I'm not going to let her pretend everything is fine and have her way. I haven't confronted her yet because I'm still in shock. Part of me wants to throw the phone at her and scream, and another part wants to quietly pack my things and leave her in the dust. I can't believe this is my life right now. I was so sure I had found the one, and now I'm sleeping next to someone who's already planning her escape. Update, so, I confronted her last night. I took the day to calm down, or at least try to. I didn't want to go in guns blazing and say something I'd regret. When I got home from work, I found her sitting at the kitchen table, scrolling through Instagram like everything was perfectly normal. I came in and told her we needed to talk. She seemed slightly concerned, maybe because I was quieter than usual, or maybe because I'd been distant all day. I didn't text her once. She put her phone down and asked what was wrong. I just said it, I know you've been planning to leave when the lease is up. I know what you've been saying behind my back to your friends. I watched her face. I was looking for shock or maybe relief that the secret was out. Instead, I got this weird flash of annoyance. She demanded to know how I found out. Not why I was upset, not an apology, just immediate defensiveness. I told her I saw the messages in that group chat, the one she shares with her college friends. She tried to twist it on me, saying I violated her privacy, that I had no right to look through her phone. She claimed she'd have never done that to me. I told her I hadn't gone snooping for dirt, I'd been looking for ideas to surprise her for her birthday and proposal. That's when her tone shifted. She said, "What do you mean, proposal?" I explained that I'd been saving money for a ring, her grandmother's style, emerald stone, exactly like she'd once described. I even told her about the dream vacation. I let it all out, I'd been putting away money piece by piece, planning a surprise trip to Bora Bora. The kind of trip we'd fantasized about after watching some travel show last winter. I painted the picture for her, and as soon as she heard "Overwater Bungalows," her face lit up. She actually smiled and said, "Wait, really? Are you serious?" I said, "Not anymore. That's not happening now." She started telling me the texts were nothing, that it was just a safe space to vent when we were having that rough patch. She said I was never supposed to see them, so they shouldn't matter. She tried to frame it as if everyone needs a place to blow off steam, and I shouldn't take it personally because it was all in the past. Her voice got whinier by the second, almost bratty, as if it was all my fault. But how can I not take it personally when the messages are basically her calling me a deadweight and just waiting out the lease? She said it meant nothing, but I reminded her those weren't old messages from months ago, some were only a few weeks old. She said I've changed and she planned to stay with me now. That the texts were just old frustrations, nothing else. She kept bouncing between excuses, it was just talk, I didn't mean it, I was venting, we were in a bad place, you weren't supposed to see that. I told her straight up, look, I'm not proud I looked at your phone. I went in there for something good, to figure out how to make your birthday and our future proposal special. I never intended to snoop on your personal messages. But now that I know how you really feel, or at least how you've told your friends you feel, I can't ignore that. She started crying then. She said, please, give me another chance. I never really meant to leave. I love you. I want to go on that vacation with you, I really do. I think what broke me was seeing how quickly she focused on the vacation. She didn't show real remorse for how she talked about me behind my back. She just kept emphasizing how we should still go, how it would be a fresh start, how wonderful it would be to get engaged in a tropical paradise. I told her that trip and that proposal were off the table. I said, you don't get to treat me like an option, like deadweight, and then still enjoy the fruits of my sacrifices, and you've shown me what you really think when I'm not looking. I'm not going to reward that with a ring and a dream vacation. She started begging, saying she'd been stressed, that it's normal to complain, that I'm being too sensitive. She said something along the lines of, this is just girl talk, like that should excuse the viciousness. She tried to downplay it as normal venting. But we both know there's a difference between saying, my boyfriend's getting on my nerves, and, I'm just waiting for the lease to be up so I can ditch his ass. I didn't raise my voice, I think I was too drained at that point. I just stood firm and said, this changes everything. I'm done. I told her I'll be moving out, or we can figure out who stays and who goes. I made it clear I'm not waiting around to see if she magically decides I'm worth it again. I'm not going to pretend the last few years didn't happen, but I am done holding on to a future she apparently never cared about. She started crying harder, sobbing that she made a mistake, that she just never thought I'd see it, that now we have to throw away everything we built. But I told her we're not throwing away something that actually existed. We're just acknowledging that the relationship she claimed to have with me wasn't real anymore, or maybe never was, at least not the way I thought. It's like we were living in two different worlds. I ended the conversation by saying I'll figure out my next steps. I'll contact the landlord, maybe see if I can pay a penalty to break the lease early, or figure out subletting. But I'm not spending the next few months walking on eggshells until a lease ends. I'm not waiting for her to soften her stance or try to love-bomb me back into submission. So, that's where we're at. If nothing else, I'm grateful I found out before I got down on one knee.